own rules. We're making up our own rules. Hillel's making up their own rules. Yehovah's already made the rules. He's already established everything. Now we're going to make up our own rules? That's not Torah. Rules of Hillel too. Rules of Hillel. One of Hillel's rules is that no two Sabbaths fall consecutively. Show me, like I said, challenge the leaders to show me in the Torah where it says no two Sabbaths can fall consecutively. Therefore, the calendar is manipulated, so that Yom Teruah, Feast of Trumpets, never falls on a Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday. This keeps the Day of Atonement from falling on a Friday or a Sunday, which would make two Sabbaths in a row. Show me in Torah. Show me in Torah. See, they're manipulating the Word. They're manipulating to fit their thinking, their way, their agenda, their power. Same thing with the Word. We've all been guilty of manipulating the Word. Adding to, taking away from. We've all been guilty of it. Every one of us. We got to decide when is enough and start listening to the Father. He chastises us, He punishes us. And it's not a bad thing when He chastises or punishes, okay? It's to teach us, to get us back right with Him. Okay? This keeps the Day of Atonement from falling on Friday or Sunday, which would make two Sabbaths in a row. There's no biblical evidence, authority for this. They don't have the authority to do it to begin with. In fact, the Mishnah contains rules of an altered service when this happens. This proves that the calendar Yeshua observed was not altered like it is today. In order to keep two consecutive Sabbaths from occurring, Hillel inserted, they added to, and deleted, took away from, days which Yehovah has not commanded. Hillel took out or added days to different months in the year to change which days of the week all of the festivals fall on. Now, not too many people know about this. Rules of postponement. As far as rules of postponement, show me in the Torah where one has the right to make rules opposite the Torah. For example, the rules of postponement states the Jewish New Year, Feast of Trumpets may not fall on Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday again. If the new moon for the 7th month falls on Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, the moon is postponed until the following day. That's not Torah, ladies and gentlemen. That's not Torah. Again, going by a man-made calendar contradicts Deuteronomy 16:1, where it says to go out and observe. Here the word observe in Hebrew is shamar, and also means look narrowly and search for, okay? Now, in the 3rd new moon, after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Mitzrayim, on this day they came to the wilderness of Sinai in Shemos 19:1, the 3rd new moon. And it came to be about 3 new moons after that Yehuda was informed, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law has whored, and see, she has conceived by whoring. And Yehuda said, bring her out, and let her be burned. In Genesis 38:24. See, they went by a guideline. They went by the new moon. Now, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has whored. Now, that's horrible. That's true. It is horrible. But what did he say? And it came to be about 3 new moons after Yehuda was informed. See? Now, the supposed evidence for concealed moon, the mulad. And I used to go by that, by the way, in my ignorance. Didn't study, didn't research it, trusted in man. To listen when he said, yeah, you're right, didn't question it. I don't do that now. Having been confused by the use of the term new moon in modern astronomy, some people have sought biblical support for this incorrect meaning of the term in Psalms 81:3, Hebrews 81:4. Now Psalms 81:3 is usually cited, which says, blow on a horn for the Hodesh, the new moon, on the Kezet, full moon, for the day of our Hag. That's feast, that means feast. According to the concealed moon theory, the term keze is derived from the root K period, S period, Y period, these three letters, meaning to cover, and thus means covered moon or concealed moon. According to this interpretation, when the verse says to blow on a horn on the day of keze, it actually means blow on a horn on the day of concealed moon. However, the language does not support this argument, for the second half of the verse also refers to the day of keze as the day of our feast, Hag. In the scriptures, feast or Hag is a technical term which always refers to the three annual pilgrimages feasts: Matzot, Shavuot, Sukkot. See Exodus 23, Exodus 34. 3. New Moon Day, Hodesh, is never classified as a pilgrimage feast. So Keze, Hag / Hag festival, cannot possibly be synonymous with New Moon Day, Hodesh. It has further been suggested that Kese refers to the biblical holiday of Yom Teruah, day of shouting, which always falls out on New Moon Day. However, the Bible describes Yom Teruah as a moed, appointed time. Remember I talked about moedim? A moed, appointed time. And never has a Hag, pilgrimage feast. So Keseh / Hag cannot refer to Yom Teruah either. What does Keseh really mean though? It is likely that Keseh related to the Aramaic word kista and Assyrian word kuseu, which mean full moon. See Brown, Driver, Briggs, page 490b. Hebrew, Aramaic, and Assyrian are all Semitic language and often share common roots. This fits in perfectly with the description of Keseh as the day of the Hag, H-A-G by the way. Since two of the three pilgrimage feasts, Hag Ha-Matzot and Hag Ha-Sukkot, are on the 15th of the month, which is about the time of the full moon. Another point to consider is that there is no actual day of concealed moon. In fact, the moon stays concealed anywhere from 1.5 to 3.5 days in the Middle East. It has been proposed that the day of concealed moon is actually the day of conjunction, when the moon passes between the earth and the sun. So now you can't see the moon to 1.5 to 3.5 days. Wow. I can't see anything. I don't see anything again. Like I said in Genesis, the light is for appointed times. However, it was only 1,000 years after Moshe that the Babylonian astronomers discovered how to calculate the moment of conjunction. Therefore, the ancient Israelites would have had no way of knowing when the moment of conjunction takes place, and would not have known on which day to observe concealed moon day. It has been suggested that the ancient Israelites could have looked at the old moon and determined the day of conjunction by when the old moon was no longer visible in the morning sky. However, such a method would not work in the Middle East, where the so-called concealed moon can remain concealed for as many as 3.5 days. It is in fact common for the moon to stay concealed for 2.5 days. And in such instances, how would the ancient Israelites have known which day was the day of conjunction? In contrast, the ancient Israelites would have been well aware of the crescent new moon. In ancient societies, people worked from dawn to dusk, and they would have noticed the old moon getting smaller and smaller in the morning sky. When the morning moon had disappeared, the ancient Israelites would have anxiously awaited its reappearance 1.5 to 3.5 days later in the evening sky. Having disappeared for several days and then appearing anew in the early evening sky, they would have called it the new moon, or Hodesh, from Hadash, meaning new. Now, I want to read some of this article to you concerning this gentleman called himself Rabbi Weiss, Rabbi Hillel Weiss. Now, March 29th, 2017, an Orthodox Jew was interviewed by Breaking Israel News concerning the new moon. He was asked this question in 2017 about this new moon. Rabbi Weiss clearly shows that the importance and seriousness of reestablishing the Creator's new moon. They know it's important to reestablish the new moon. They know the new moon. They want to reestablish it. But you don't need to reestablish anything. It's already there. Because he says you need the Sanhedrin to reestablish it. No, it's already there. You don't need to reestablish it. It's already there. Well, like I said, they've gone so away from the truth and traditions. And he admits that it's tradition. Okay, but look, it's weighing on his heart. It's weighing on his heart. It shows the urgency to follow the Torah the way it was intended to be. See, these are his words. The way that it intended to be. He already knows. He already knows it's the crescent new moon. He already knows that. He admits to it. The Hillel calendar or any other man-made secular calendar isn't scriptural. It isn't. That's my word, by the way. It isn't scriptural. Also, the article, please be aware, although Rabbi Weiss says they need a Sanhedrin to establish it, the Creator's new moon, nowhere in Scripture does it say you need to Sanhedrin to reestablish it, or to rely on them to spot the new moon. Now, on Wednesday evening, one of the most important Torah commandments is not going to take place, and as a result, in 2 weeks, the world's Jews will celebrate Passover on the wrong night. That's his words, Rabbi Weiss's words. Then in that sense, Sanhedrin is attempting to begin fixing this problem. See, they want to rely on the Sanhedrin to fix this. Yehovah has already put it in place. He's already admitted they missed Passover last year by 2 days. Because of this man-made calendar, really. The Sanhedrin will meet on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem on Wednesday as the sun sets to observe the new moon. This event is meant as a small first step towards reinstating the important mitzvah. That's commandment. See, reinstating the mitzvah. They know it's a commandment to do this. They know it's Torah to look at the new moon, but because of their traditions, they're not gonna go out and do this really until the Sanhedrin is reestablished and the temple is rebuilt. Nowhere in Torah does it say that. They're doing this because of tradition. It's been brought down by generation. Now it's become part of life. That's why you don't mix this stuff. You get confused. It's like a puzzle. You throw it out. You throw a 1,000-piece puzzle on the floor. You don't know what this is. It's all a mess. It's all confusing. But when you start taking the Torah and you take it piece by piece and learn it, you're going to start understanding more the love of the Father. You're going to love the Father more by obeying His Word. Teachers here, teachers there, teachers there. And I'm not saying there's not good teachers. There's good teachers. But there's so many teaching this, teaching that, teaching this. You get confused. You don't know what's right from wrong. And as far as the Torah goes, as far as the appointed times and other stuff, the Sabbaths or whatever, other things, food laws, the food instructions. Rabbi Hillel Weiss, spokesman for the Sanhedrin, told Breaking News Israel, reinstating the new month and witness appearing before the Sanhedrin will be the true beginning of this redemption. The new moon is God sending us a sign of new beginnings and for us to establish Pesach in its time. See what I'm saying? Relying on man. Why don't you rely on the Father? We all need to rely on the Father, not trust in man. We don't need to trust in the Sanhedrin for this. That's trusting in man. That's a curse. And they're not going to want to do this, the crescent new moon, until this is reestablished. The temple's built. Today's problem, Rabbi Weiss explained, is that the true date of the appearance of the new moon no longer synchronizes with the beginning of the month as it appears on the calendar. He pointed to the current month of Nisan as an example. According to the Jewish calendar, the month began on Monday evening. But the first sliver of the new moon, which should appear on Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the new month, will not actually be visible until Wednesday evening. See that? 2 days. Missed Passover. Or the Pesach. He's going to miss it by 2 days because you got to count 14 days. Here's the new moon, count 14 days, boom, boom, boom. He missed it by 2 days, and he admits it. The nation of Israel needs to reestablish the mitzvah. Again, he's saying the commandment, the mitzvah, in its completeness. The rabbi asserted, but this can only happen when the people acknowledge a Sanhedrin to accept the witnesses' account of the new moon. When this happens, when there is a Sanhedrin sitting in Jerusalem, the impact will be perceived by a global increase in serving God. Close quotes, that's his quotes. Like I said, Deuteronomy 61 tells you to observe. It didn't say, Deuteronomy 16:1 didn't say, a Sanhedrin, go observe for the people and let them know when the new moon is. No. We are to go out and observe. We are actually come to as a congregation together and observe. Not the Sanhedrin tells, oh, when is the Sanhedrin? Nowhere in Torah does it say that. See? Jews are required to adhere to the calendar accepted by the entire nation. Nowhere in Torah does it say that. We're required to adhere to Yehovah and the Torah. We're here to adhere to our King Messiah Yeshua, who's a living, breathing, walking Torah. The Torah became flesh and walked among us. That's who we adhere to. Until a formal Sanhedrin is accepted by the nation, Jews must use the established calendar and observe the holidays on the days mandated by rabbinic authorities, he concluded. See that? They must use this stuff. Oh, so you're playing Elohim? We're going to listen. We must listen to you? No, we must listen to the Father, the Torah, to establish the calendar and observe the holidays on days, mandated by rabbinic authorities. Rabbinics, the rabbinic authority, they have talking notes after talking notes after talking notes. That's what Yeshua is talking to them about, the Pharisees. You put all these talking notes in there, your own commandments. Adding to, taking away from. You will listen, you will obey us. No, we don't have to obey you, we obey the Father. We listen to the Father. We can look at the new moon. We're not required to adhere to a man-made calendar. We're not here to adhere to must adhere to an established calendar. Now, some points to be made. Like I said, I've been talking about the points out of this article. One of the most important Torah commandments is not going to take place. The world's Jews will celebrate Passover on the wrong night, 2 days off. The Sanhedrin will meet on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem on Wednesday and Sunday, and as the sun sets, on Wednesday, as the sun sets, to observe the new moon. This event is meant as a small first step towards reinstating the important mitzvah. You don't have to listen to, you're not required to go by the Sanhedrin's laws concerning this. Jews are required to adhere to the calendar. No, they're not. Accepted by the entire nation. No, they're not. The only calendar we're here to follow is the Heavenly Father's calendar. Jews must use the established calendar according to the rabbinic authorities. No, they're not. It's not Torah-based. Even though the calendar needs to be adjusted, unity is of the utmost importance. See? Unity is of the utmost importance. Well, I tell you what. How about the unity with the Father first? And like I said earlier, I understand the community. It's very important. We need community. We need unity in the community. But not if it's not going to be Torah based and you're going to do a man-made calendar. Let's work together to get to the truth. Let's research. Let's study. Let's understand. Because, see, when it's all said and done, this is not a group thing. We're going to be judged individually whether we go to the kingdom or not. And we're to bring the truth. The Word tells you that. What is truth? The Torah is truth in Psalms 119, 142. See, when there's a Sanhedrin sitting in Jerusalem, the impact will be perceived by any global increase. No. Now, if you're going to listen to the Sanhedrin about this, well, now you can go. No, you're supposed to do it now, especially when you get revelation. And that takes time to get it. We're all in a different journey in our walk. But when you have people, if you can teach this right here, right away, and people coming in, they've done the Moed, or they talk about Sanhedrin, then you can start teaching this. Teach it right from the get-go if you're going to be a teacher. If you're not, don't be a teacher until you get some solid ground, and don't teach something you don't know. Ask, find information, get wisdom from people before you open your mouth. Like I said, I put my foot in my mouth many, many times, and the Father's chastised me for it. So I'm very careful before I do that. I just didn't come up with this stuff. It took me a long time to really get this down and to do this. Okay? Like I said, as you can clearly see, the Jews know the truth concerning the new moon. They openly admit it's the crescent new moon we're to go by. They admit the hell calendar isn't scriptural. Some give it other names. The only reason they go by the man-made secular calendar is simply because the temple isn't built. As one can see, I've clearly shown in history, and more importantly in the scripture, that Yehovah hates, and I emphasize hates, any individual using a new moon other than his new moon. So, what about you? Are you going to follow men and their traditions? Or are you going to follow Yeshua, his disciples, the prophets, and Moshe, and obey Yehovah? You can't have it both ways. You must choose whom you will obey. What master are you going to have? You can't serve two masters. Him, Yehovah, or the evil master. Do according to the Torah in which they teach you, according to the right ruling which they say to you. You do not turn to the right or the left from the word which they declare to you. Deuteronomy 17:11. The reason I pulled this scripture out of Deuteronomy 17:11, because that's the Jews I'm talking to over in Israel. This is the ones they always come to about. Do according to the Torah which they teach you, according to the right ruling which they say to you. You do not turn to the right or to the left. The word which they declare to you. That's what they go to when they talk about traditions and why they do what they do. It's our tradition. It's our tradition. But what's the first thing that stands out in this scripture? Do according to the Torah. Because what is it? Moshe seat. Therefore, whatever Moshe says to you to guard, guard and do. But do not do according to their works. For they say and do not do. Matthew 23:3. That's what you do. Whatever Moshe says, the Torah. The same thing in Deuteronomy 17:11. A Pharisaic. They're twisting it. They're twisting it. Now, when we talk about oneness, you got to have oneness in the community. Oneness in the community. That's true. But you got to have oneness with Him. You got to be like-minded like Him. He's our example. Yeshua is our example. He's our King. We follow His footsteps. Hebrew word for unity is echad, and it refers to oneness in reference to the nature and character of Yehovah and to man's relationship to Yehovah. The Greek word for unity is henotis. And while it does mean unity, the distinction is different than the Hebrew word echad. Henotis means unity more in the sense of unanimous agreement among others rather than oneness. See, so if the community can agree on things, that's their definition of oneness, really, is what it is. Echad is oneness with the Father. Okay? That's what he wants the community to do. Come together with the Father in one. Because they can say unity in the church. They can say unity in Buddhism, Hinduism, in Judaism. Their ideation. See, in Judaism, unity is to the utmost. We all got to be in agreement. Our rabbi says this. He's our leader. Don't question. You can ask questions. Obviously, you can ask questions. But don't question it. Don't challenge it. Unity is of the utmost importance. Well, how about with the Father? And I'm not saying don't go to these teachers, the rabbis. They study the Torah. There's things, like they get stuff out of us because we haven't been filled with traditions. In this particular, when we come into this walk, they have been raised in this tradition. But they also study the Torah at a very young age as well. So we need each other. We're brothers. We're sisters. We need each other. Okay, like I told you many times before, I'm talking to Rabbi Noonan here. Wonderful man. I've been talking to him for a while. I love him. He answers all my questions, and he'll be honest with me. He'll tell me his traditions. He said, I know. But you know what he also told me about the crescent new moon? He walks out of his house. He told me this, by the way. He walks out of his house and looks for the crescent new moon. But he cannot bring that to the community, he told me. He cannot bring it to the... He can't. It's our tradition. Until the Sanhedrin is built. See what I'm saying? And the temple's built. I've got to follow tradition. See what I'm saying? For all those people who go by this man-made halal calendar, to those leaders who choose to go by this secular calendar for unity's sake, that isn't of the Creator's calendar, how about doing something for the sake of what the Torah really says? Unity begins by rejecting false teaching, false doctrine, and embracing Yahweh's truth. Love is not the means to achieve unity in and of itself, but the result of taking a stance, the side of Yahweh. Like I said earlier, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, the appointed times of Yahweh, which you are to proclaim as set-apart gatherings, my appointed times are these in Leviticus 23:2. Shabbat, Passover, Matzot, Shavuot, Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot. The crescent moon is the new moon. It is a time where we all come together and look for Yahweh's lesser light. The new moon is such a beautiful marker for the beginning of the month. A usual sighting of the new moon is as the sun sets in the skies clears. Sets in the skies that are clear. The sun sets in the west, slightly right where the new moon will be seen. As the sky darkens, the first star is seen, in which it actually which is actually the planet Venus. Gradually, the crescent appears above the eye level in the west. The shofar is blown and brethren come together for fellowship. This is part of the learning, and as children and family come together for the new moon, this bond will be strengthened, because seeing one of Yahweh's most beautiful creations is believing. The sighting of the new moon is a blessing, and as we look more and more for the new moon, we start to understand Yahweh's calendar and Yahweh's plan for us. Inspiration is found in many places, but if Yahweh and Yeshua inspire us, we have nothing to fear. The new moon is one of the many ways that Yahweh inspires His family. I know your works, and love, and service, and faith, and your endurance. And as for your works, the last are more than the first. Revelations 2:19. I want you to remember this, in closing this. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become action. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, they become your destiny. And we all have to work on that. Let us pray. His power brings us to birth. His providence guides our lives. By His command we return to dust. In company with Yeshua, who died and now lives, may we rejoice in the kingdom where all our tears are wiped away. Unite us together again in one family to sing your praise forever and ever. At our lowest, Yehovah is our hope. At our darkest, He's our light. At our weakest, He's our strength. At our saddest, He's our comforter. When we fall, He lifts us up. When we're afraid, He gives us courage. If we're lost, He will guide us. If we start to give up, He'll keep us going. He'll lead us in light and love. Worry not. Yehovah is never blind to our tears, never deaf to our prayers, never silent to our pain. He sees and hears, and He will deliver. Glorified and sanctified by Yehovah's great name throughout the world, which He has created according to His will. May He establish His kingdom in your lifetime and during your days and within the life of the entire house of Israel, speedily and soon. May His great name be blessed forever and to all eternity. Blessed and praised, glorified and exalted, extolled and honored, adored and lauded by the name of the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart Spirit. Blessed be He, beyond all the blessings and hymns, praises and consolations that are ever spoken in the world. May there be abundant shalom from heaven and life for us and for all Israel. He who creates shalom in His celestial heights, may He create shalom for us and for all Israel. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, Yehovah, our Elohim, King of the universe. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be upon you. In Yeshua's name, Amen.